much, as we say in Hebrew, balagan, which will be like mess. In school, I didn't see anything that it isn't supposed to happen.
Strange because of how quiet people were in comparison to Israel.
At her school, the kids it was mandatory for them to go outside on the school break, even if the weather was freezing outside, which to me was crazy.
The family dynamic was very different from things that I knew before.
The father of my host actually visited Israel extensively during his younger days, and we enjoyed sitting together in the living room, watching him screening the pictures, and actually it was a very interesting experience for me to see the German perspective about Germans visiting Israel, especially before I myself was born. So
Martin's family couldn't speak any English, so I would walk around the house all day with a notepad and write down every word in German that I could put my hands on, like cheese and eggs and fridge and TV and so on.
As they were eating Brighton and I couldn't figure out how to eat it properly. So my German host, we called it, she called me her barbarian friend.
My host family eating French fries with a fork.
With my host family, one of the parents' uncles had their silver wedding, so we went together and I got to see the ceremony at the church, and then we went with all her family, and it was very interesting to see how a German family celebrates such a joyous occasion.
So I really remember that everything about Yulia, about her life, looked really cool and really special to me. I remember she lived in a building that was like over 100 years old. She had really big, high ceilings in her house and wooden floors. Everything was really special.
The house I was hosted at had like a lot of shelves full of beer glasses. And it was very surprising that apparently the German families take their beer drinking very seriously. And they taught us all the different types of glasses and what type of beer you drink with each glass.
Conrad's dad was a pastor, so we lived right above the church, and it was just a surreal and a beautiful place. And I remember hiking down a forest to what seemed like a randomly placed yet beautifully curated soccer field. That was just such a surprise.
There was a lot of curiosity. Each side wanted to understand the other side better.
I would even say embarrassing to ask the most basic questions about the culture that we come from.
The noise. The Israeli group were always talking and loud and fun. It took for the German group a couple of days to understand that yes, that's how we roll, and then we all started to have fun together and be very noisy.
And also being surprised for the better by the young Arab Israelis who participated. I thought it was an amazing encounter and the first for me.
The delegation had such a big variety of teens from different religious and cultural backgrounds.
I remember I had to explain, for example, several times why, according to Judaism, it's forbidden to eat pork and what's a bar mitzvah.
What came up to me the most was the idea that we were very different in terms of our religious habits.
It was a time before social media networks, so obviously limited information was known about each side at the time.
Once the biases went away, it was very teenager to teenager.
This turned out to be a very emotional and important discussion in the class itself, where I got to share a little bit of my family story, and it was very, it was meaningful. It was very meaningful.
I felt like there was a sense of guilt talking about it.
Even though they have nothing to be blamed of, because of course they're a whole different generation.
Israelis were the first ones to bring up the subject in a humoristic way to kind of break the ice.
My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and one day I asked them to visit Bergen-Belsen. I'm very emotional to be in this place, especially with a German family. That was a very, very significant experience for me.
She offered if I'd like for us to go together to visit the Sachsenhausen Memorial Museum. For me, it was the first time to actually be at a concentration camp site. I remember I really appreciated that she wanted to go with me.
To see such high-ranking diplomats taking the time to talk with us as a bunch of high schoolers from Israel and Germany.
We were all came into this huge hall and we didn't know what to expect. They were so nice. I was expecting something really formal and I was a bit stressed.
It was something I remember forever, and mainly because I want to work with that. That was like a very nice base so I can know what I'm going into.
At that time I decided that I want to be a diplomat and a politician, which didn't happen.
We were gracefully received by His Excellency President Johannes Rau himself, may he rest in peace.
Speaking to Mr. President Rau completely changed my life. It was an experience that I would never ever forget.
Especially in such a young age, and especially when I come as the foreigner from Israel, was really unique.
I do remember being a very quite impressed to be in the presence of German or high-ranking officials.
I really strongly remember when we met Mr. Andreas Michaelis in the Foreign Office. He did make a very strong impression on me. Afterwards, Mr. Michaelis was the ambassador here in Israel, so I even got to see him again. And
I think these meetings sparked my interest in the field of international relations and politics, which is also the field that I work in currently.
There was a concert of the famous hip-hop band Fantastischen Vier, and I remember everybody partying and drinking those green beers. It was very fun.
The evenings where we strolled around the streets of Berlin, which is an amazing city. It is so beautiful.
Just meeting German people my age and talking to them about our history, their history.
Joining the Shimon Peres Awards in the Jewish Museum in Berlin, I just loved it.
Visiting the German school there, not every day, and get to walk there freely and even to partake in classes in normal German schools.
But I went to see the house of my great-grandmother, the house which I've heard about my entire life. It was very emotional and very exciting to see.
When we were in Berlin, I had a very brief chat with the late President Rau, and he told me that he had been to my hometown in Israel and surprised me when he was able to name places that he visited in my hometown.
Yep, a lot, many times. Ich kann jetzt Deutsch sprechen. I really loved it. I fell in love with the German culture and the language and the people, and I took it as a project, and I studied a bit on the internet and went a few times to take a course in Goethe Institute. I was doing some exchange program as a medical student in different hospitals and universities in Germany.
I've probably visited Germany over 30 times since this program to keep in touch, to make new connections. It just became a part of my life.
Actually, I studied quite a bit. Went to the Goethe Institute and did some courses, and then actually landed me a job in Israel working with people from German-speaking countries.
My profession is opera. I get to sing a lot in German, so the language is with me a lot of my time.
I visited Germany a lot of times. I went to the Carnival in Köln. I have been in film festivals in Hamburg and Berlin, and I have close friends from Germany. Hopefully this summer I'm going to a wedding of a friend in Berlin.
I don't know how you guys made this match, but it was perfect, and we're really close and we're really good friends till today. We probably met in person maybe 7 or 8 times over the years.
I am still in touch with my German host, with Arn, and we also have an active WhatsApp group in which we have all of the Germans and all the Israelis are present. Yeah, we're gonna stay in touch, that's for sure.
I'm still in touch with many of those who I've met at the school in Bochum.
Me and my host still check on each other from time to time, and we still have each other on social media, and we will definitely try to schedule a meeting as soon as we can travel again.
I wish this program to go on. I think there is a lot in common of young Israelis and young Germans.
I do wish for the Johannes Rau Grant to continue for another 20 years and even more for German and Israeli students, Arab and Jewish and Christians and Druze and of all backgrounds, all religions, all cultures, to have more meetings together, to discuss more what they think, how they should move together to peace and to a place where we all, as human beings, live in a better place, in a better world, in a better country.
Not ignoring the history, and that's exactly the point of the program. So my wish is just continue doing it.
Honestly, continuity. It takes a while to realize the impact from youth programs, and it's a long-lasting impact. I'm grateful to have been a part of this program.
Just continue facilitating those kinds of friendships.
It provides more and more people the opportunity to meet one another.
More diversified, so more people will have the opportunity to experience this unique, really special grant.
I'd like to wish upon the new participants that they'll have the same enriching and brilliant experience that I've had.
Seit 20 Jahren kommen junge Israelis mit dem Johannes Rau Stipendiatenprogramm nach Deutschland. Mein Mann, der dafür im Jahr 2000 den Grundstein gelegt hat, hätte seine Freude daran. Ihm war es ein Bedürfnis, dass die jungen Menschen von Deutschland und Israel sich gemeinsam begegnen, gemeinsam die Zukunft gestalten, ohne die Vergangenheit zu verdrängen. Ich danke allen, die sich dafür engagiert haben, dass es möglich war, dass immer wieder dieser Austausch stattfindet. Und ich hoffe, dass wir noch ganz viele junge Israelis durch dieses Programm bei uns zu Gast haben werden in Deutschland. Alles Gute für die weiteren Jahre.